Ever imagine a simple barbershop holds the key to instantly transforming your life? Sounds crazy, I know, but this is something I've witnessed firsthand over 25 years. Two barbershops, two guys, two completely different destinies. The difference between success and failure boiled down to their mindset, not the quality of the haircut, but the image each projected. That changes everything. I vividly remember the scene, sitting in Tony's chair, a seasoned barber waiting a few minutes, because as always the place was packed. Just 4 doors down, another barbershop. Same street, same service. Yet, in 25 years, I've never seen a single person waiting there. Not one. It's like the place is invisible, but it stays open. Someone goes there, I know. Otherwise, the guy would have closed up shop long ago. What baffled me was this stark contrast. Why did people consistently wait for Tony while the other remained empty? I pondered this for a long time until the penny dropped. It wasn't the haircut, the price, or the location. It was each barber's self-image, because how you see yourself determines how the world sees you. Self-perception is the root of everything you attract. Ever consider that? Why isn't your business thriving? Why aren't your relationships blossoming? Why does money come and go so quickly? The answer lies in your self-image, in what you believe you deserve. And that's where most people get stuck. People crave more money, freedom, love. But deep down, they harbor a silent belief that they aren't good enough, that they don't deserve it. The universe simply mirrors that frequency. If you see yourself as insignificant, the world will treat you as such. If you see yourself as ordinary, invisible, well, guess what? That's precisely what you'll become in the eyes of others. It sounds harsh, but it's the truth. I lived it. For years, I saw myself as a failure, uneducated, with no future. I believed my place was changing tires, mopping floors, scraping by. Even when opportunities arose, I sabotaged them. My self-image wasn't aligned with success. This happens more than you think. Most people are willing to work hard. They strive, they study, they try again. But they remain trapped in the same cycle. Because internally, they operate from a distorted self-image. One shaped by years of criticism, rejection, trauma, and limitations. Heard phrases like, "You'll never amount to anything," "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "Don't dream too big." These phrases subtly embed themselves. Unknowingly, you start living as if they're true, but they aren't. They don't have to be. A Yale University study shows that a person's self-image by age 7 significantly impacts their financial and emotional well-being as adults. Imagine how many of those images were planted by frustrated, disillusioned, or fearful people. You're living someone else's story, following a script they gave you, and worse, believing it's the only reality. But you can rewrite that image. You can choose a new role. And when you do it consistently, the world responds. A practical example: every morning, look yourself in the mirror, look into your eyes, say out loud, firmly, "I am worthy of abundance, I am capable, I am valuable." At first it'll feel awkward, uncomfortable. You might hear an inner voice scoffing, "Who do you think you are?" Ignore it. That voice is the echo of your old self-image, trying to keep you where you are. But believe me, if you persist daily with intention, emotion, and truth, something within you shifts. New pathways are carved in your brain. Science calls it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize, create new connections, and, over time, transform thoughts into behavior, and behavior into results. Want to change your life? Start by changing the image you see when you close your eyes. Picture yourself with money to spare. Imagine yourself admired, valued, respected. Imagine yourself in a place where you wake up happy, light, fulfilled. Feel it, breathe it, live it, even if it's not yet reality. The truth is simple. You'll never receive from the world something you haven't first accepted as possible within yourself. Show me someone who achieves great things, and I'll show you someone who has faith in themselves. And faith isn't hope. Faith is emotional certainty, the deep conviction that what you envision is already real. Tony didn't cut hair better than anyone else, but he believed he deserved that clientele, that success. And his energy spoke volumes before he even opened his mouth. You transmit that all the time too. The question is, what are you telling the world without uttering a single word? Maybe it's time to rewrite that message. Maybe it's time to cut, not your hair, but the old beliefs that keep you stuck, and finally start living as the person you were born to be. Ever feel like you're doing everything right, yet things aren't progressing? Like an invisible force is holding you back even when you're trying your hardest. I lived that, not for weeks or months, but for years. And I discovered that force didn't come from outside. It was inside me. A silent conflict between what I said I wanted and what I truly believed I deserved. At one point, I said I wanted to make money, succeed, achieve freedom. But internally, I saw myself as that school dropout, lost, directionless, jumping from job to job, doing undesirable work. I said, I want to change. But the image I carried was one of failure, scarcity, limitation. This inconsistency between what you consciously think and what you deeply feel creates a blockage, internal noise, a kind of emotional short circuit, and life reflects that: confusion, stagnation, inconsistent results. The internal image always trumps external reality, always. You can say whatever you want, wear whatever you want, work as much as you want. But if, in the silence of your mind, you carry doubt, fear, rejection, unworthiness, nothing external will sustain for long. The external is a reflection of the internal. I remember the day I first read Think and Grow Rich. I was with the Toronto Fire Department at the time. A friend, Raymond Stanford, gave me the book and said, "Read this." I had nothing to lose. I was tired, frustrated, and felt completely out of place. It impacted me like nothing before. For the first time, someone was saying my results weren't the world's fault. That everything, absolutely everything, started in the mind. In what I believed was possible. That book illuminated my path, but it didn't solve everything overnight. Belief isn't a switch you flip. It's a process, an internal repositioning. Every day, I faced the voice that said, "You can't do it. This isn't for you. Who do you think you are?" Maybe you know that voice. Maybe it speaks when you try to change careers, start a business, get out of debt, do something different. It whispers that it's dangerous, that it will fail, that it's better to stay where you are. But that voice isn't the truth. It's a reflection of your old mental programming, an internal code installed by years of failures, criticisms, and painful experiences, and it only remains active as long as you allow it. By questioning that code, observing your thoughts, your automatic reactions, your repeated patterns, you gain power, the power to choose new thoughts, new images, new beliefs. And when that happens, even slowly, change begins to manifest. You feel more clarity, opportunities arise, different people appear. And most importantly, you stop sabotaging what you couldn't maintain before. Research from the University of London found that the human brain needs approximately 66 days to establish a new behavioral pattern if practiced daily. You don't need years to change your life. You need consistent decision-making day after day, aligning your mind with what you want until that image becomes familiar. What is familiar to your mind, it seeks to repeat. That's the secret behind most failures. It's not a lack of effort. It's internal misalignment. You act like you want to change, but internally you still vibrate at the frequency of the old identity. And as long as that identity is in command, nothing changes. Because you never attract what you want, you attract what you are. Need proof? Have you noticed that people who win the lottery often lose everything within a few years? It's not because they don't know how to manage money. It's because the image they carry of themselves is still one of scarcity. So the subconscious returns the person to where they feel safe, even if it's poverty. It's the opposite of what happens to those who rebuild their self-image. These people begin to walk, talk, think and act as if they already are who they desire to be. It's not pretense, it's conditioning. Through repetition, they become what was once just an idea, and that's when reality shifts. But there's a crucial detail. You need to place your inner vision above external circumstances. No matter what's happening, debt, unemployment, rejection, crisis, all of that is a reflection of how you've operated until now. It's not a sentence, it's an old portrait, and portraits can be replaced. Your external reality will fight to keep you in the old pattern. It will test your faith. It will try to convince you that nothing has changed. But if you insist, if you continue believing in the image you're creating, the world will bow to this new identity. As James Allen said, your circumstances may be unfavorable, but they will not remain so long if you perceive the ideal and strive to reach it. And you know what an ideal is? It's an idea you fall in love with, something that resonates with who you are inside. Love, in this context, is resonance. It's frequency. It's when what you think, feel, and do is aligned. And when that happens, the impossible becomes natural. So if you feel trapped, stagnant, going in circles, the answer isn't out there. It's within. In what you think when no one's looking, in what you feel before you sleep, in what you believe when things go wrong. That's the image that commands your life, and you have the power to change it, not tomorrow. Not when everything is perfect, but now, here. Starting with how you see yourself at this very moment. You can think about success, repeat affirmations, plaster post-its all over the house, write goals in a notebook. But none of that will work if you don't emotionally engage with what you desire. That's what many don't understand. The secret isn't just in the thought, it's in the emotional frequency you activate while thinking. You can think about abundance, but if you feel fear, anxiety, and scarcity, guess which energy will prevail? Always the strongest emotion. Because emotion is the fuel that powers the mental image, and the stronger the emotion, the faster that image materializes. That's why some people repeat, "I am rich, I am prosperous," but remain full of debt and frustrations. Because internally, they vibrate in despair. They talk about wealth, but their hearts are heavy, their bodies tense, their minds full of worry. That's not manifestation. It's internal conflict disguised as positivity. And the universe doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you emit. Have you noticed that when you truly love someone, you don't need to say much? The person feels it. They feel it in your eyes, in your tone of voice, in the way you move. Love is vibration. Love is resonance. And that's precisely the frequency you need to access when you think about your goal. It's not about convincing the rational mind, it's about feeling as if it's already real. Let me suggest something. Close your eyes for a moment and think of a time when you felt completely alive, a moment when time stood still. It might have been a hug, a sunset, a personal achievement. Allow yourself to feel that scene, relive that moment in detail. What do you see? What do you hear? What is the sensation in your body? Now, take that emotion, that vibration, and associate it with the image of the life you want to create. Breathe that new reality as if it's already happening. That transforms thought into creative power. Science has already proven this. Neuroimaging studies show that the brain doesn't distinguish a lived experience from a strongly visualized experience with emotion. When you intensely feel something imagined, your brain fires the same circuits as if it were actually happening. This creates new neural connections, changes your internal chemistry, alters your electromagnetic field. And over time, this new frequency begins to attract circumstances that resonate with it. You start meeting different people. Unexpected situations arise. The right opportunities reveal themselves, and it all seems like coincidence until it happens too often to be chance. But you need to practice, because the world will try to pull you back to the old frequency. They'll say you're dreaming too big, that you need to be more realistic, that life is hard, that money doesn't come easy. And if you're not emotionally connected to what you want, you'll give up. You'll start doubting, and you'll vibrate again in scarcity. That's what happened to Howard Hughes, one of the richest men of the last century, a genius, a billionaire, the creator of empires. But do you know what destroyed his life? Fear. Fear of illness, of people, of losing control. Even with all the money in the world, his emotional frequency was insecurity, paranoia, and isolation. And he ended his days alone, surrounded by darkness, in a prison of his own making. External abundance will never be enough if your inner world is collapsing. On the other hand, I've seen people with few resources create miracles simply because they vibrated in love, trust, and faith. Not religious faith, faith as emotional certainty. That feeling of, I don't know how it will happen, but I know it will. That faith moves mountains and, more importantly, moves you to a place where the mountains don't seem so big anymore. You need to fall in love with the image of your new life. You need to carry it in your mind like a memory, not a dream. Visit that place every day, even if no one sees what you see. And when that becomes part of who you are, everything changes. Now, if you want to start training this, here's an exercise I've been using for years. Set aside 2 minutes a day. Just 2. Sit in a quiet place. Breathe deeply. Imagine the most fulfilled version of yourself. Don't just see, feel. How does this version walk, talk, react? Where do they live? What do they feel when they wake up? Let the emotion take over. Gratitude, joy, peace. Immerse yourself in that state for 2 minutes and repeat this every day for 21 days. You'll begin to notice subtle changes, small signs, coincidences, the right people, unexpected intuitions. This isn't magic, it's physics, it's biology, it's energy. You always emit a frequency. The question is it in tune with what you desire or with what you fear? The emotion you cultivate is the magnet that defines what you attract. And when you understand this, you realize you don't need to control everything. You just need to control what you feel while you dream. Most people don't realize it, but they're trapped in a kind of invisible theater, repeating the same role every day. They wake up, think the same way, feel the same emotions, react to the same stimuli, and consequently reap the same results. They don't understand that they're not trapped by circumstances, but by the character they've become accustomed to playing. And the more they repeat that role, the more they become what they don't even know they're being. For a long time, I was exactly like that. Even after I started making money with my first business, a cleaning company, I saw myself as someone who couldn't handle prosperity. I worked hard, the money came in, but it escaped with the same speed. It was as if something pulled me back every time I started to climb. And do you know why? Because even with the new external reality, my internal programming was still old. I had learned to think like a poor person, to expect little from life, to feel uncomfortable with large sums of money. And the most dangerous thing is that all of this operated silently, unconsciously. It was only when I started observing my own patterns that I realized what was happening. And I realized something simple yet powerful. We become what we practice consistently. If you spend years thinking like a limited person, feeling like a rejected person, acting like a worthless person, that's exactly what you will be, regardless of the opportunities that arise. You might even enter a new place, but you'll carry the old character with you. That's why so many people who suddenly make money, whether through an unexpected promotion, a prize, or a significant sale, end up back where they started, as if the universe pushed them back down. It's not the universe. It's the self-image, it's conditioned behavior, acting rich for a moment, but the emotional programming was still scarcity, and the subconscious will always seek balance with what it considers familiar. The key to breaking this cycle is to start acting like the highest version of yourself, even if it feels strange at first. And no, that's not pretending. Pretending is wearing a mask. Want to rewrite your life script? It's not about wishing on a star, it's about becoming the star. Think Jim Carrey writing himself a $10 million check before he even landed a big role. He didn't know how, but he acted as if. He immersed himself in the feeling of success, the gratitude, the excitement, visualizing the studios clamoring for him. Years later, he earned that exact amount for Dumb and Dumber. Coincidence? I think not. He consciously trained his emotional state, rehearsing the role of a successful actor until it became second nature. The world simply responded to the energy he projected. What role are you playing? The "it's too hard" character, the "I'm just like this" role? Or are you starring in "I reinvent myself, challenges make me stronger, I deserve an extraordinary life"? Your daily actions are the building blocks of your future self. Every seemingly small choice, your morning thoughts, how you handle setbacks, your money mindset, your relationship with your body and others, it all shapes who you become. If you don't consciously break the cycle, you're destined to repeat the past. But you can rewrite your story, starting now. Choose a new identity, a new role, and rehearse it relentlessly. Want prosperity? Study how successful people think, act, speak, and solve problems. Mirror them, even if it feels awkward at first. New habits are uncomfortable initially, but with repetition they become ingrained, transforming into your very identity. Remember, the world doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are. And that's determined by your daily practices. You're not stuck, you're just on repeat. And what's on repeat can be re-recorded. Start with one new thought, one new gesture, one new tone of voice. Repeat, 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 until one day you wake up living what was once mere imagination. And on that day, you won't feel like a new person. You'll feel like you've finally become who you always were. Ever notice how your best ideas come during moments of calm, quiet presence? It's like everything suddenly clicks. The complex becomes clear, the distant feels near, and the impossible seems achievable. That's because you've momentarily stepped out of autopilot and accessed your creative consciousness. Most people live in a state of constant tension, worry, and urgency, perpetually rushing, reacting, putting out fires. They attempt to make life-altering decisions, managing finances, escaping debt, building a better future from this stressed-out place. But you can't create anything truly new from a place of fear. Fear paralyzes, blocks, and activates the brain's primitive survival mechanisms, not its creative ones. People try to change their lives while defending themselves from it. They react instead of choose, flee instead of build. Anything created from fear is unstable, at best a temporary fix, not a genuine transformation. My life shifted when I understood, and more importantly, experienced this truth. I remember a specific moment, alone, distraction-free, simply observing my thoughts. For the first time in ages, I stopped controlling everything, stopped running, and started listening to my intuition, to that quiet voice always present, yet ignored because I was too busy trying to fix the world with the wrong tools. In that silence, a simple yet profound realization struck me. You don't chase life, you align with it, and that alignment only happens in a state of presence, feeling complete in the now, even without knowing all the steps. Peace transcends urgency. Paradoxically, from this tranquil space, the greatest actions are born. not from pressure, but clarity. Want a practical example? Start your day with 5 minutes of silence before the phone, the news, the bills. Sit, breathe deeply, bring to mind the life you desire, but don't just visualize it. Feel it as if it's already yours. With that image present, just breathe, silently, peacefully. Feel gratitude as if it's already resolved. Then open your eyes and begin your day from that frequency. You'll act with more wisdom, notice opportunities previously hidden by anxiety, speak with greater clarity, make firmer decisions, and create a reality more aligned with your true self. Harvard research confirms this. Daily mindfulness practices like meditation and emotional visualization significantly improve problem-solving abilities, lower cortisol levels, and enhance well-being. In short, when you're calm, you're more effective, more intuitive, more magnetic. Now consider, how many critical decisions did you make out of desperation? How many paths did you choose out of fear rather than clarity? How many times did you regret your actions, realizing you were running from pain instead of towards what you truly wanted? You don't have to live like that anymore. You can start training your mind to operate from a different level. A level guided by inner peace. When that happens, the world around you shifts. Look at Eckhart Tolle. Years of severe depression, obsessive thoughts, and mental turmoil ended when, in the depths of suffering, he entered such a profound state of presence that everything changed. His mind stilled, and in that void, a new consciousness emerged. It wasn't a miracle, it was conscious surrender. He stopped resisting, stopped fighting, and in that moment, found true power. He's since impacted millions. You don't need to hit rock bottom for this transformation. You can start now, silencing the rush, calming the mind, trading noise for awareness. You won't be less productive by being calmer. You'll be more powerful because your actions will come from a place of wholeness, not deficiency. You don't need all the answers, just one step from a different state. When your mind aligns with peace, your reality aligns with purpose. And with purpose, you don't force life. You live in harmony with it. If there's one key takeaway, it's this: the image you create of yourself defines the limits of your reality. It all starts within. What you feel, believe, and practice daily shapes your life, even unconsciously. If this resonated with you, you're ready for the next step. The next video is already on your screen. Let's take another step towards your evolution, towards becoming 1% better than you are now. Transformation happens incrementally, but with conscious intention and direction. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.